those are the days. Is about 3.5 years old now, and I've started it after leaving a corporate job. Finally escaped to be able to do something a bit more creative. I've always had a huge passion for fashion and for vintage clothes, so I was desperate to open my own vintage clothing boutiques. We do women's wear, menswear and jewellery and accessories for both, and also vintage bridal wear. This is a particularly collectible piece that we've got. This is a Aussie Clark evening dress from the 1960s. So this is really collectible. People are into vintage. Quite often Aussie Clark's one of the names that they look for, along with Biba. Another thing, we've got quite a lot of our 1950s dresses, so that's a gorgeous little 1950s dress. Take you to any occasion, that one. I would love to have this in my wardrobe. This one's got a nice story behind it. This came from a lady who was a model in the 1940s and 50s. So this was one of her dresses. This is a 1920s evening gown. These are quite a rare find. You don't come across a lot of 1920s dresses that are still in really, really good condition, so it's a good find. We stock specifically from the 1920s to about the 1980s, sometimes some early 1990s, but we're quite strict that follow the rule that vintage has to be 25 years old and older to kind of qualify as true vintage. We also have quite a big collection of vintage costume jewellery, so again we collect that from the 1920s to the 1980s as well. So all the pieces are picked because they are, again, very typical of an era and are pretty collectible pieces. Vintage menswear can be a wee bit harder to find, so it's a smaller section here, but it's still popular, and we've got a selection of men's accessories as well to go with that. A Hugh Hefner smoking jacket here, or a lovely tux. So through here is our vintage bridal showroom. These are fantastic. If a girl wants something just that little bit different for her wedding that no one else is going to have, you really can't do wrong with a vintage wedding dress. I used to really like the little short 1950s ones. Wee ones like this are really quite cool, and they're quite popular with girls just now. These little ones. But then you can find a dress from any era and just fall in love with it. We run our bridal showroom by appointment so that we can give everyone an hour-long appointment and they can have quite specific one-to-one service to make sure they have a really nice experience of trying on the dresses and finding the one that they love. This is a really lovely 1930s wedding dress. It's so gorgeous. It's got this lovely cowl back because they had to be really demure for getting married in the church, so everything had to be really covered up. So you've got the long sleeves, the high neck, but then you could have this daring backline. We've just launched a new website, so we're selling our women's wear and jewellery and accessories online. Menswear will be coming soon as well. All over the UK, all over the world. We can send it wherever.